The California Early Childhood Competencies include 4 Early Childhood Educator Competency Contexts and 12 Early Childhood Educator Competency Areas. Each competency context focuses on a type of professional role or work carried out by early childhood educators. The context of supporting early learning and development focuses on being responsive to the needs and cultural perspectives of children and families in the early childhood setting. This role requires knowledge of early child development, curriculum, and the learning environment, as well as an understanding of observation and assessment. The context of planning and guiding early learning and development involves taking a leading role in being responsive to the needs and cultural perspectives of young children and their families. It requires extensive knowledge of early child development, curriculum, and the learning environment, as well as skill in observing and assessing learning and development. The context of creating and maintaining program policies and practices focuses on ensuring that early childhood programs are set up to be responsive to the needs and cultural perspectives of young children, families, and program staff. Early childhood educators in this type of role are responsible for the organizational climate and effectiveness of programs that serve children and families. The context of advancing the early childhood profession involves connecting research to practice, designing developmentally appropriate program approaches, and advocating for the inclusion of diverse children and families in high-quality early childhood education. Individuals working in this context collaborate with community stakeholders to strengthen early childhood services and promote opportunities for early childhood educators to develop professionally. Early childhood educators within each competency context concern themselves with 12 competency areas. These areas include child development and learning, family and community engagement, health, safety, and nutrition, and special needs and inclusion. The competencies are the knowledge, skills, and dispositions that taken together define high-quality early care and education. Competent early childhood educators understand early learning and development, are skillful in implementing best practices, and recognize and value the strengths and contributions of young children and their families. The relationship between competency areas and competency contexts is dynamic, with early childhood professionals continuing to develop their competencies in each of the 4 contexts. Understanding competencies in every context enables early childhood educators to plan paths for career development. By growing within a context, or by moving from one context to another. For an early childhood educator working in the context of creating and maintaining program policies and practices, these competencies may point to ways to better support her staff's capacity to be responsive to all young children and families. For each context, the competencies specify the knowledge, skills, and dispositions that strengthen the early childhood profession and lead to high-quality early care and education. Through understanding the competencies needed in each context, early childhood educators can move toward a shared vision of how to grow professionally, how best to provide early care and education services, and how to foster the best outcomes for all young children and their families.